Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I have on my Netgalley that I now own. So I have been a reviewer on Netgalley for a couple of years now. Actually, I started a long time ago and then took a little break, but never canceled my account. So I have books on my Netgalley that go all the way back to, I believe, 2020. I was going to check. Yeah, my oldest book on Netgalley is from January 24th, 2020. And the purpose of Netgalley in reality is that you can, any reader and reviewer can request early release copies, advanced reader copies of books, and they're e-copies. They go to your Kindle usually. They do have audiobooks now as well. And then you write a review for it, both usually on the Netgalley site, and then you can link that review to Goodreads, Amazon, other places. And it's a way to get word out for some early release books. You do not have to have a platform in order to be a reviewer on Netgalley. You could just request books. The goal that Netgalley gives you for feedback ratio is 80%. I currently sit at 40%. So for the last couple of years, I have challenged myself in the month of November to just increase my rating. I ideally would like to get up to 50% before the end of this month. And in order to do that, I'm going to focus on these 25 books, 26, but I can't find one. 25 books that I currently own that are also books that are on my Netgalley. And I do have one checked out from the library, so that one works as well. As we go, I'm going to highlight some of the ones that I really have as priorities because they also work for prompts for Historathon this year. Yeah, we're just going to take a look at the ones that I own, maybe a little tiny bit about them. There are 25 of them, so I'm not going to spend a long time talking about them. Let's just jump right in. So the first one that I have is The Night We Burned by S.F. Kosa. This one was published in August of 2021. It is a contemporary fiction with a dual timeline, I believe, about a young woman who was a part of a cult and escaped it. And then she eventually becomes a journalist and has to go back to the cult because of a story. So I'm very curious about that one. I actually wish that I had read it before prepping all my Christmas book exchange things because I feel like this would be a good Amanda book. She loves books that deal with a cult. So I'm just very curious about this one, The Night We Burned by S.F. Kosa. And I haven't heard too many people talk about this one. Next up, I have An Accidental Odyssey by Casey Dyer. This is the sequel to what I believe is a duology. I forget, Around the World in 80 Days, I believe was the first one. Something along that lines. And I did read that one. That was a Christmas book exchange book. And so this is the sequel, An Accidental Odyssey. I didn't love the first one, so I'm not very eager to pick this one up, but it's a contemporary romance. An unexpected phone call derails a young woman's wedding plans, and it sparks an epic adventure around the modern day Mediterranean. So it's going to have some travel, which I liked about the first book, and a little bit of romance in there. We'll see. I do have quite a bit of middle grade in this stack. And another one that came out in December of 2021 is Orphans of the Tide by Struan Murray. And this one was actually on my anticipated reads list for 2021. But I believe in this one, there's these kids that live on an island and they discover a whale. The city is the only home that Ellie has ever known. She's always been told that there's nothing beyond the shores of her small, salty island until a mysterious boy washes in with the tide, trapped inside the belly of a whale. What? It sounds so intriguing. Why haven't I read it yet? The story of my life. The next one I have, I thought at first that it was nonfiction, and actually I'm not really sure still if it's fiction or nonfiction, but it's The Rent Collector by Cameron Wright. This one came out on April 5th of 2022, but I feel like it's older than that because the back of this book says that it won awards in 2012. Yeah, 2012. So I'm not sure why I have it on my Netgalley in 2022. Maybe a movie came out and that was the movie tie-in edition. I have no idea, but it's Cameron Wright, The Rent Collector, and I have it on my Netgalley. So this one takes place in a slum community in Cambodia, Khmer Rouge. And we follow two kids, Ki Lim and Sang Lee. And they live in the dump in Cambodia. And they learn something about the rent collector, this woman who comes around collecting money, that changes their perspective or things, or changes how the life of everyone that it sweeps past, sets in motion a tide that will change the life of everyone it sweeps past. And it illustrates how literacy can change lives and how anyone can rise from the ashes in the most unlikely of places. It sounds fantastic. Sounds so good. Then we have one that is a possibility for Historathon 4.0 because one of Amanda's prompts is a book with the word book in the title. So we have here The Mayfair Bookshop by Eliza Knight. This is a novel of Nancy Mitford and the Pursuit of Happiness. And it takes place in 1938 and present day. So we're going to have the dual timeline, a little bit of World War II, but we're going to follow the Mitford family, in particular Nancy Mitford, and then somebody in a present day who kind of follows in Nancy's footsteps or learns about her because of her new job at the Mayfair Bookshop, this iconic bookstore apparently. So I'm curious about that. Then we have one that I have not heard the greatest things about lately, and that is The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. I don't care that I haven't heard good things about this because I'm just so intrigued by this whole story. I'm still going to read it. But in this book, it's a murder mystery, obviously. Mr. Wickham from Pride and Prejudice, it's going to die. But I believe Emma and Mr. Knightley are throwing a house party and different characters from different books of Jane Austen's come together. And during the evening, Mr. Wickham dies. How did he die? I don't know. But I'm so intrigued by the idea of it kind of being one world. All of Jane Austen's, I'm so intrigued by the idea of all of Jane Austen's books being in the same world where they all know each other that I want to read it just for that fact alone. Sounds kind of cool. The next one that I own came out on October 4th, 2022, and it is The Whalebone Theater by Joanna Quinn. Look, it's so chunky. Holy moly. And it's probably part of why I haven't picked it up yet, but I love this cover. So cool. And this one we follow dual timeline again, but two kids when they were young and then as they're older. And World War II plays a part, but these two kids kind of live a privileged life on the seashore, and one day they discover the bones of a whale. And apparently they're supposed to tell the king or something, but they turn the bones of this whale into a little theater where they put on plays with their governess and all of that. But then we follow them when they're older, and their play acting comes to be a blessing because both of the kids, I believe, become spies during the war. Okay, then we have the one that I can't find. When We Had Wings is by Susan Meissner and Christina McMorris and Ariel Lahan, 3 historical fiction authors that I love. I don't know where that book is. It's marked in Goodreads as owned. I know that I have it. I just don't know where it is, which means I need to clean this room because most likely it's in this room. It should be on my shelves, but I don't know. I don't know where it is. So that's okay. The next 3 were all book of the month choices. And I always get so excited when the books that I put on my anticipated reads lists become book of the month, because I do my list first before I know what the book of the month choices are. So I always get so excited when other people are excited for the books that I'm excited for too. And I feel like I win. It's not a competition. I'm not going against anybody, but I just always feel like it's a win when Book of the Month picks my anticipated reads. So I have a couple of them. Matthew Quick's We Are the Light came out on November 1st in 2022. It's a contemporary about a man in a small town. I don't know what happened to his wife. Did his wife leave him or pass away? I'm not sure. She passed away. And so he's really struggling. But then this teenage boy starts camping out in his backyard, and he helps him out somehow and kind of becomes a hero in this town. But is he really a hero? It's just about how small kindnesses that we can show other people can really have a big impact. So I just think that sounds lovely. Contemporary, not a romance, but contemporary read. Literary, probably a little bit more literary than maybe what I normally read, but it's a short little book I'm excited for. Then we have a climate fiction, The Light Pirate by Lily Brooks Dalton. I've heard really good things about this. This takes place in a near future where Florida is disappearing. It's eroding into the ocean. Or there was a big storm or something. I can't remember. We follow a family who lives in Florida, and the daughter of the family has some supernatural abilities of some sort. And some of the family goes missing and the rest of the family goes to look for them. I'm not exactly sure of the storyline anymore. All I know is that this is climate fiction, and I've heard really good things about it. The Light Pirate. All right, the third book of the month in a row is The Circus Train by Amina Parikh. And this is a World War II novel, 1938. We follow Lena Papadopoulos. Oh my word, I know a family in Massachusetts whose last name is Papadopoulos. How fun. So much fun to say. Lena had never quite found her place within the circus, even as the daughter of the extraordinary headlining illusionist Theo. So we're going to follow a circus in World War II and a young girl named Lena. I am here for that. I'm here for it. The rest of these all came out this year in 2023. And a lot of them are books that were on my anticipated reads because that's mostly what I request from Netgalley. So the next one I have is from January of 2023, and it's The Band of Queens by Parini Shroff. And this one takes place in India, and it sounds to me to have the same vibes as Finley Donovan, where it's kind of a lighter mystery. But we follow this woman whose husband dies or disappears or goes missing, and everybody thinks that she offed him. And then she has a stall in the market, and her stall is doing really well for itself because everyone's a little bit afraid of her. But then women start coming to her to off their husbands as well. It sounds like kind of a comedy of errors. I've heard that there will be aspects of this that are not typically things that I enjoy in books, but I'm still curious enough about it. And look at that purple spine. It's so pretty. I love it. I just think it sounds fun, so I'm still going to give it a try. We'll see. Then I have 2 middle grade that I just can't believe I haven't read yet. I can't believe I haven't read these yet. I have heard such good things about both of these. The first one is The Lost Year by Catherine Marsh. This one did come out in January as well of this year. And this one takes place in the Ukraine, and a young boy is learning about his grandmother who grew up in the Ukraine. And there was a year in the 1930s that there was a huge famine in the Ukraine, and his grandmother, Matthew's grandmother, experienced that. And I just have heard that this is phenomenal. I'm putting this one on my Historathon TBR. I forgot to talk about all the rest of them. I think this is the next one that I'm putting on my TBR because Amanda has a prompt. I'm going with Amanda's prompts here. That for a book with a 3-word title, The Lost Year. So that is a priority for November. I was very excited to get an Owl Crate box that had this book in it, The Grace of Wild Things by Heather Fawcett. This one came out in February of this year, and it's Anne of Green Gables, but make it witchy. I've heard really good things about this one as well. Oh, it sounds so fun. So fun. Also in February, we have Marvelous by Molly Greeley. And I have 3 books now by Molly Greeley, and I haven't yet read any of them. Shame on me. But Molly Greeley writes some types of retellings, and this one is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. This one takes place in 1547, set in the French royal court of the Renaissance Queen Catherine de Medici, that recreates the touching and surprising true story behind the Beauty and the Beast legend. I'm just very excited to try something by Molly Greeley. And then John Tilton so kindly sent me his book, Please Return to the Lands of Luxury. And I just love this cover. It's a little adventure, fantastical adventure, middle grade. It's super short. Came out in March, during middle grade March, and he so kindly sent this to me. So I really do want to read this one soon. Another book of the month one that I have is Hang the Moon by Jeanette Walls. I'm interested in trying some of her fiction books. I read one of her nonfiction, but I haven't read anything fiction by her. And this one takes place in Prohibition era Virginia. So I'm intrigued by that time period and setting. So have that. Curious about her writing. That one came out in March as well. Did I say that? This next one is also on my Historathon TBR, Only the Beautiful by Susan Meissner. Number 1, it's one of my patron picks for November. And number 2, I believe one of the prompts by Lindsay is one of your favorite authors. Oh, I need to open up. And one of Gloria's prompts is a 5-star prediction. This is a 5-star prediction for me because I've read a ton of Susan Meissner and I absolutely love her. And the story of this just makes me think I'm going to love it. I've talked about it a lot lately. I feel like I don't need to say it again, but it's going to deal with a girl with synesthesia. It's going to have a World War II storyline. It's going to have kind of an asylum/girls' home setting for part of it, set in a vineyard in California. I just am very intrigued very, very intrigued, and I'm hopeful that it will be a 5-star. We'll see. The next one I have came in a Once Upon a Book Club box. So I do have, oh my word, I forgot that the edges of this are sprayed. How cool is that knife? There are some spots throughout the book that have a little post-it that say, open your gift. So that should be fun to have some gifts to open while I read this mystery. I've read another book by Colin Cambridge. That was the first one in the Philida Bright mystery series. This one is set in France, and a friend of Julia Child's comes to visit her. And then during a house party, someone dies. And they are both kind of caught up in the drama, in the mystery. That came out in April. Sorry, I'm looking at my list. We're getting close to the end. But the next one that is also on my Historathon TBR is The Secret Book of Flora Lee. I did say Mayfair Bookshop would work as well, but this is the one that I'm really hoping to get to for Amanda's prompt of the word book in the title. This one is by Patty Callahan Henry. It came out in April. Nope, it came out in May of this year. And we follow two sisters when they're younger. They get sent away from London during the Blitz, and the older sister creates this whole world of fairy tale to distract her little sister and keep her from being too traumatized by this whole situation. And then they lose contact with each other for some reason. I'm not sure why. But then as they're adults, the older sister sees a book that gets published. That's the world that she created for her little sister, who she hasn't seen in years. So I'm very intrigued by that whole premise. I like the sisterhood aspect. I like that it's set during the war and then after the war. I like this whole aspect of fairy tales and a book within a book. I just think that this is going to be so good. So that's a priority for November as well. Then we have a Fiona Davis book, The Spectacular. All of her books take place in New York City and surround an iconic building. And this one is going to be the Rockefeller Center, Radio City Music Hall, where the Rockettes play. And it takes place in do their show, not play. And they take place in 1956. And I believe it also has, a serial killer, the Big Apple Bomber, who was terrorizing the city around that same time. So we're going to learn about the Rockettes, and we're going to learn about the serial killer and about Radio City Music Hall. Should be pretty cool. I have really enjoyed some Fiona Davis books in the past. The next one came out in July. Oh yeah, Spectacular came out in June. July 4th was Wanderlust by Elle Eberhardt. I picked up this one from Pango. This is just about a girl who wins a trip around the world from this radio call-in that she does, like a radio program, and she calls in to win the prize and she wins. But the trick is that they take her contact list on her phone and scroll randomly and pick somebody, and whoever they pick has to go with her in order for her to win the trip. And of course, the person that it lands on is someone that she had a one-night stand with, or like met one time in a bar one time. So they never really had a relationship, but now they're traveling the world together. Romance will ensue, I'm sure. Catherine Center's newest book, Hello Center. Nope. Hello Stranger is next. This one came out in July and was another book of the month pick, obviously. This is about a woman, an artist, who has face blindness. So she has she struggles seeing people's faces or remembering people's faces. Oh, I think she gets in an accident and is diagnosed with face blindness. So it's not something that she has always had to deal with. And I think there are two guys that she connects with in here. So maybe a little bit of a love triangle. I'm not really sure, but I love Catherine Center. So I don't need to be sure because I'm pretty positive I will enjoy that book. Then we have Nothing Else But Miracles. I'm so excited to have this. I splurged and bought this. Oh, at the little bookshop. A couple weeks ago, I did a little shopping day, and this is one of the ones that I bought just because. So this is by Kate Elbis, who wrote A Place to Hang the Moon, which I absolutely loved. We follow a group of siblings who live in New York City. Their dad goes off to war, and the oldest kind of takes care of the youngest. And their little community helps take care of them. But then they get a new landlord who's not thrilled about these kids being there on their own. Are they going to be able to stay together? Is he going to turn them in? I don't know, but I've heard good things about it already. That one came out in September. The other September one that came out on the same day is The River We Remember by William Kent Kruger. Again, an author who I have loved in the past, and I am pretty confident that anything he writes, I'm going to try and read. This one might be a little bit more gritty than some of the other ones, but he has been a little gritty and I still just love his writing. So I'm willing to give it a go. But this one takes place in a Midwest town that has a river going through it. And there is a body that's found in the river, and the town immediately starts to accuse this native guy, Noah, a Native American World War II vet who has recently returned to town with a Japanese wife. And so suspicions, accusations start flying. The town is kind of divided. And that is what the story is going to be about. And the final one that I own on my shelves from my Netgalley is The Unmaking of June Pharaoh by Adrienne Young. This one is kind of a fantasy. A woman risks everything to end her family's centuries-old curse, solve her mother's disappearance, and find love in this mesmerizing novel. I haven't read Adrienne Young before, but I just had heard a few people really love this one, and so I threw it in my box in October and just added it to my pile. For the last little bit here, I'm going to go through the Historathon prompts and tell you what I'm going to read for all of them. And most of the choices are going to be from my Netgalley. So Amanda's prompts: read a book with a color in the title. I have picked out, just from my shelves, Bluebird by Sharon Cameron, because Amanda loves this book. It's kind of low on the priority list because I really want to focus on the Netgalley books I have, but I pulled it out just in case. Read a book with 3 words in the title. I'm going to be reading The Lost Year by Catherine Marsh for sure. And then a book with the word book in the title is The Secret Book of Flora Lee by Patty Cale Henry. So those will be Amanda's prompts. Then for Gloria's prompts, I've already finished The Butterfly Collector by Tia Cooper, I believe. And this was an audiobook that I had on Netgalley. So I've already read one Netgalley book this month already. Go me. That was for set in a place that you visited or want to visit, and it's in Australia. It takes place in Australia, and I definitely would love to go to Australia someday. A 5-star prediction I mentioned, I'm going to be reading Only the Beautiful by Susan Meisner. And then based on a true story, I'm going to read The Frozen River, but now I kind of wonder if I should pick one of these ones that I own. No, I'm going to keep it The Frozen River because because it comes out in December, I believe. And it's very wintry, and I want to read at least one of my Netgalley that's coming up so that I'm closer to staying on track with what the purpose of the website actually is. So I'm going to keep it The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan. It takes place in Maine, and we follow the life of a midwife who I believe has an amazing track record of no one ever dying, but then a baby is found in the river, and do people think that it's her or not? I'm not sure, but it's based on a real midwife who lived in Maine. I'm very excited about that one, The Frozen River. The cover is just stunning. And then for Lindsay's prompts, we have favorite author, and I chose When We Had Wings, which I own somewhere. Don't know where it is, but it's by those 3 authors that I love: Christina McMorris, Susan Meisner, and Ariel Lahan. I love all 3 of those ladies, so it's perfect pick for a favorite author. Then set during your favorite time period. I'm still a sucker for a World War II novel, so Roman Rue Amélie was my 12 books to read in 2023. That will be my pick for that one. The final prompt for Lindsay, I don't have anything recommended by a favorite. I could do, so many people recommended The Lost Year and loved it. And I think I have so much on my pile already for November that if I could read these 3 more Netgalleys plus The Frozen River, and then I've already read The Butterfly Collector and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I could read these 3 and the other 3 that I've mentioned, Butterfly Collector, which is done, and The Frozen River, and When We Had Wings, if I can find it, then that will be 6 Netgalley that I'm getting done. I feel like that's fine. The goal of Historathon, obviously, is just to read some historical fiction. So I have talked plenty long enough. It's time for me to stop. But those are the 25 I showed you, in 26 because I can't find the last books that I have on my Netgalley that I already own. These should be priorities for me, but they're not. I do really hope to get to all of these, and definitely hope to increase my Netgalley score. I think in my goals video for the coming into the 4th quarter, I showed you that my Netgalley goal for this year that I ridiculously thought would be possible was to get my Netgalley above 70%, above 70. I think if I hadn't requested anything else, maybe that would have been possible, but nah. I have absolutely been requesting books all year, so definitely didn't do that. All right, that is it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and spending some time with me watching this video. I really appreciate your support and your love, and I can't wait to talk to you in the comments. Which of these books should I prioritize for 2024? Maybe I should have another spinner wheel along with my TBR veteran wheel that I'll have, since I'm not going to be doing my project. I'm just thinking aloud at this point. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go. Let's chat in the comments. I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.